Night had fallen on the planet Viridian, but even the light of the stars seemed dim. The sky was overshadowed by the approaching fleet of the Zargorians. The human colony had launched a frantic effort to devise a strategy against these deadly beings, but everyone knew they were facing not just an army, but a force of annihilation. General Kai stood in the command room, studying the holographic map of the planet Viridian. The high-ranking officers around him looked at him with anxious eyes. With his short hair and muscular build beneath his armor, Kai stood like a rock, but within him, despite all his resolve, there was a deep concern. The Zargorians, they're not just creatures, Kai was the first to break the silence. It's as if they were created just to destroy us. Captain Elena, one of Kai's most trusted officers, stepped forward, sensing his concern. General, to win this war, our people need hope. They need our leadership. Kai turned to Elena, a determined expression forming on his face. I know, Elena. But this won't be easy. The Zargorians possess unimaginable power. We've faced them before. They fight not just with physical strength, but with mind games. Elena understood the depth of the general's concern. Their strategies are far more complex than we can anticipate. But remember, Kai, you're just as smart as they are. Perhaps even more so. Kai paused for a moment and looked away from the map. This will be a battle of wits, Elena. We will win not with brute force, but with strategy. At that moment, the alarm system in the main control room suddenly blared. On the screens, images of the Zargorian fleet approaching Viridian's orbit appeared. Everyone was instantly on high alert.
Kai sprang into action.
Get into defensive positions immediately. Kai shouted in a stern tone. Everyone to their stations, now. Meanwhile, deep in space, Supreme Commander Zargar stood at the head of his fleet. With him were the elite warriors of the Zargorian army. As Zargar approached Viridian, he contemplated his plans to bring about the end of humanity. Underestimating them would be a mistake, Zargar said to Captain Skarn, who stood beside him. Skarn was known among the Zargorians for his ruthlessness. Humans are strong, but they are weaker than us. Their spirits are uncertain, and they are ruled by their fears. Skarn bared his teeth in a savage grin. We must use their fears, Commander. Let's employ every method to break them psychologically. We know that the power of fear is more destructive than anything else. Zargar turned to Skarn, narrowing his eyes. Fear, yes, we will manipulate their fears. But remember, we are at risk in this war as well. Humans become more dangerous when they're cornered. Skarn nodded in agreement with Zargar's words. With our biological perfection, we will tear their resistance apart. Zargar looked out the window of his ship at Viridian and muttered to himself, this planet will be ours. We will destroy all their hope, all their resistance. And this galaxy will know the wrath of the Zargorians. The Zargorian leaders deployed all their strategies to break through Viridian's defenses. They prepared to launch their attack, exploiting the weaknesses, fears, and mistakes of the humans. However, the Zargorians were also facing their own internal conflicts. Though Zargar was determined to annihilate the humans, a part of him questioned the cost and outcome of this war. Skarn, on the other hand, was completely consumed by the ruthlessness of the battle. For him, there was nothing but victory. As the Zargorian ships entered Viridian's atmosphere, they began their devastating bombardment. The planet's surface shook with massive explosions. In the control room, Kai and Elena directed their defenses against the enemy's initial assaults. We need to anticipate their plans, said Kai, his eyes scanning the constantly shifting points of attack on the screen. We must understand the tactics they're using against us. Elena was focused on the command center's computer systems. The Zargorians aren't attacking randomly. These strikes are part of a carefully planned strategy to weaken our defenses. But we can disrupt their game. Kai looked into Elena's eyes. To disrupt their plans, we need to make clever moves of our own. We'll calculate every step carefully. We must beat the Zargorians at their own game. Elena, trusting in Kai's resolve, nodded silently. I trust you, General. We can win this war. As Kai discussed the movement plans over a strategic map, a deep determination shone in his eyes. This isn't just a battle, Elena. This is a fight for humanity's survival. And we cannot afford to fail. While the Zargorians' attacks continued, the heroes of Viridian resisted every blow. Kai was determined to hold the defense line with all his strength. But as the difficulty of the battle increased, so too did the fears and doubts within him. Meanwhile, the Zargorians continued to search for ways to corner the humans. They were ready to use every tactic to win this war. But humanity would not give in to these dark forces. They would continue their resistance. In the dark night of Viridian, the fires of battle flared. And these flames symbolized not just a war, but a struggle that would shape the future of humanity. The dark skies of Viridian were completely covered by the massive warships of the Zargorians. Each one was designed to shatter the resistance of humanity. However, behind this assault lay not just a desire for conquest but a centuries-old grudge and a thirst for revenge. General Kai sat in his command chair, feeling the tightness in his chest. He had faced the ruthlessness of the Zargorians before, but this time it was different. He bore the weight of this war's outcome not only as a military leader but also as a human being. As Elena analyzed the data coming from the monitors beside her, she noticed Kai's silence. General, we're preparing to repel their attacks, but we don't fully understand their intentions yet. Kai took a deep breath and nodded. The Zargorians aren't just fighting, Elena. They're sending a message. This attack is the product of a deep-seated hatred they have against humanity. Elena was struck by Kai's words. But why? Why do they harbor such deep hatred? Kai looked away from the map and into Elena's eyes. The Zargorians were once one of the greatest empires in the galaxy. But humanity's expansion and colonization weakened their dominance. Our advancement accelerated their decline. That's why they want to destroy us, to reclaim their former power. Meanwhile, the leader of the Zargorian fleet, Supreme Commander Zargar, stood aboard his ship. As he approached Viridian, the anger and determination on his face were unmistakable. But behind this anger lay a painful truth about his own people's history. We were the greatest nation in the galaxy, Zargar muttered, his voice echoing in the void. He turned to Skarn beside him. But the humans, their ever-expanding borders threatened our existence. They didn't just take our lands, they stole our honor. Skarn shared Zargar's anger, but his was more of a savage thirst for revenge. They made a mistake, Commander. Now they will pay the price. Zargar nodded in agreement with these words. But this isn't just a war, Skarn. It's revenge. The humans weakened us, and now it's time to expose their weakness. On Viridian, the first blows of the battle had already begun to land. The Zargorians unleashed a terrifying bombardment on the planet's surface. As explosions tore through all the settlements, the people were forced to take shelter. In the control room, Kai could feel the echoes of the blasts. Each explosion sent a deep pang through his heart. The lives of these people felt like a burden on his shoulders. If we fail, Kai thought, closing his eyes. But he quickly gathered himself. No, we cannot fail. Elena stood beside Kai, sensing his inner turmoil. General, we'll get through this together. Humanity has survived tough times before, and we've come out stronger every time. We'll win this war too. Kai drew strength from Elena's words. You're right, Elena. We won't be defeated. Meanwhile, the Zargorian fleet continued its attacks on the planet's most strategic points. But behind these assaults lay not just physical destruction, but also a desire to break the humans psychologically. Zargar was determined to use every tactic to crush their resistance. Suddenly, the dark night of Viridian was illuminated by a bright light. This light was one of the Zargorians' most powerful weapons. As it descended onto the planet's surface, it created a massive explosion, destroying a vast area. Kai watched the explosion, feeling the rage and helplessness within him. "We must stop them," Kai whispered through gritted teeth. "This war isn't just about victory or defeat. It's a fight for the future of humanity." Elena saw Kai's determination and placed her hand on his shoulder to support him. "General, we're here. And we will win this war together." Meanwhile, within the Zargorian fleet, different voices began to rise. As Zargar wrestled with his internal conflicts, Skarn's more aggressive and ruthless approach was beginning to bother him. Skarn saw this war as nothing more than a massacre, while for Zargar, it carried a deeper meaning. "Skarn, this war isn't just about destruction," Zargar said, turning towards him. "Our goal isn't just to annihilate the humans. We want to show them that the Zargorians have regained their strength and honor. We're fighting this war to settle a score with our past." After listening to these words, Skarn smiled slightly, almost mockingly. "Commander, I only want victory. I want to utterly destroy them. Show them no mercy." Zargar understood Skarn's ruthless approach, but he couldn't suppress his own inner conflicts. "When we win this war, the Zargorians will rise again. But we are as complex as humanity. We will also change as a result of this war." On Viridian, the brutality of the battle raged on with full force. The humans continued their resistance against the Zargorian attacks. The darkness of the night on Viridian had deepened with the assaults of the Zargorian warships. Cities were destroyed, and people had taken refuge in shelters. However, amidst this chaos, there were still those who managed to stand tall. Kai and his crew were deep within the headquarters, working tirelessly to organize the resistance. The command center was buzzing with activity. The screens displayed the enemy's movements, lost territories, and images of civilians still holding out in the settlements. Elena approached Kai and presented the latest reports. "General," Elena said, her face filled with concern, "the enemy has completely broken through our eastern defense line. Our troops are retreating, and we're struggling to protect the civilians." Kai, looking at the images on the screen, tried to suppress the feeling of helplessness within him. "I didn't expect this much," he said more to himself. "But no matter what, we will continue the resistance. It's not the time to retreat." Elena, seeing Kai's determination, placed her hand on his shoulder in support. "No one can defeat us, General. As humans, we know how to fight back even in the toughest moments." Meanwhile, on the Zargorian command ship, Supreme Commander Zargar and Skarn were busy assessing their attacks. As Zargar looked at the darkness descending over Viridian, his feeling of vengeance reignited. Skarn, undeterred by Zargar's thoughtful demeanor, laughed mockingly. "Honor comes with victory, Zargar. What matters to us is completely annihilating the humans. They weakened us, and now we will destroy them." Zargar sighed deeply, looking at Skarn's ruthless attitude. "But Skarn, we are losing something in this war too. We are losing ourselves in the hatred we feel for humanity." On Viridian, Kai was preparing a new defense plan against the enemy's attacks. He marked strategic points on the maps to protect civilians and wear down the enemy. "We need a tactic that will buy us time," Kai said, turning to Elena. "The Zargorian attacks continue relentlessly, but we can wear them down. We need a clever plan to find their weak points." As Elena reviewed Kai's strategies, she began to share her own ideas. "Our southern defense line has withstood the enemy's intense assaults. Perhaps we could reinforce that position and draw their attention there. Meanwhile, we can deliver an unexpected blow with our forces in the north." Kai nodded in approval of Elena's suggestion. That could work. The Zargorians might be vulnerable to an unexpected attack. But we also need to consider the safety of our troops and civilians while implementing this plan. The flame of resistance grew stronger with each passing minute. Kai and his crew were determined to ignite a light of hope in the darkness of despair. No matter how powerful the Zargorians were, humanity would not give up its fight. On Viridian, the resistance following the initial blows of the battle had surprised the Zargorians. Kai's plan had worked, and the southern defense line had managed to delay the enemy, while the northern forces had launched an unexpected attack on the Zargorians. Elena approached Kai with a smile. "We did it, General. The enemy is stunned by our northern assault. This could buy us some time." Kai looked at Elena and smiled gratefully. "This is just the beginning. The Zargorians underestimated us. But we've shown that we can resist even in the toughest times." Meanwhile, Zargar, watching this unexpected resistance from his ship, was caught between his anger and unease. The humans were stronger than he had anticipated. But who would emerge victorious in the end? Skarn, dismissing the resistance, said, "They're only delaying the inevitable, Zargar. We will destroy them eventually." Zargar turned to Skarn. "But this resistance comes not only from their physical strength but also from their beliefs. The humans are fighting this war not just for their land, but for their survival." As the battlefields of Viridian echoed with the resistance of the people and the Zargorians' ruthless attacks, both sides knew that this struggle was not merely a war but a fight for existence. Kai, deep in the headquarters, strengthened his resolve, while Zargar knew he would have to face his own internal conflicts by the end of this war. Thus, the flame of resistance on Viridian continued to resonate throughout the galaxy. Humanity once again proved that it would never surrender. But in the end, only time would reveal who would emerge victorious. As the conflicts on Viridian continued, the war was fought not only on the front lines but also in the hearts and minds of individuals. Both sides faced emotional struggles that could alter the outcome of the war. Kai fixed his gaze on the holographic map in the center of the headquarters. The recent attacks had provided some success on Viridian's northern front, but he knew this victory was temporary. With each successful maneuver, a stronger Zargorian counterattack followed. Elena approached Kai and looked at him silently. She could feel how exhausted he was, the weight of the burden on his shoulders. "Kai," she said softly, "you're putting too much pressure on yourself. We can't win this war alone. Not everything will go as planned, but that doesn't weaken our resistance." Kai felt an internal conflict as he listened to Elena's words. As a leader, he had to be strong, but the weaknesses that came with being human were gnawing at him. "Elena," he said quietly, "I didn't anticipate the Zargorians being this ruthless. We're risking everything to win this war, but what if we lose? What if all these sacrifices are in vain?" Elena took Kai's hand. "Even when we humans have lost hope, we keep fighting. Maybe that's where our strength lies, Kai. In fighting till the very end." Drawing courage from Elena's words, Kai tried to suppress the rising despair within him. "You're right. We don't have the luxury of losing this war. No matter the cost, we will protect Viridian." In the Zargorian command room, Supreme Commander Zargar was watching the conflicts on Viridian. The screens showed exploding missiles, burning cities, and people fleeing desperately. Skarn approached Zargar and looked at the images on the screen. "Look," he said with a mocking tone, "the humans are nearing their last breaths. Their resistance is just delaying the inevitable." On Viridian, Kai and Elena were working on a new defense strategy. On the screen, red dots indicating the Zargorian advance were rapidly increasing. Kai needed to find a way to stop these attacks. Elena looked at the map and said, "Perhaps the way to win this war is to divide the Zargorians from within. If we can target their leader, Zargar, we might be able to weaken them." Kai considered Elena's suggestion. Zargar, as the leader of the Zargorians, was the decision-maker. Targeting him could demoralize the Zargorians and potentially turn the war in their favor. However, this decision carried significant risks. "Elena," Kai said with determination, "this is a dangerous plan. But we have no other choice. Eliminating Zargar might be the only way to end this war. We'll do whatever it takes to carry out this plan." The conflicts on Viridian were rapidly advancing toward a final battle. Both sides understood that the outcome of this war would determine the future of the galaxy. Kai was ready to implement the final plan targeting the Zargorian leader, Zargar. But this war was not just a frontline struggle, it was a confrontation with fate. Kai reviewed the final preparations in the control room of the headquarters. Elena and other resistance leaders gathered around him, awaiting his orders. Kai's gaze was fixed on the location of Zargar's ship on the map. After giving his final instructions to the team, Kai began preparing his ship. The Stormbringer, one of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, was to be used to launch a direct attack on Zargar's ship. But Kai knew that this attack was also a matter of life and death. As Kai propelled the Stormbringer toward Zargar's ship, he felt a surge of fear. This attack was risky enough to endanger his and his crew's lives. But there was no other way to stop Zargar. When Zargar's ship approached like a colossal galactic beast, Kai took a deep breath and gave the command. Direct all weapons at Zargar's ship. This attack will mark the end of the Zargorian Empire. The Stormbringer gathered all its power to deliver the final blow to Zargar's ship. Weapons fired, and massive energy blasts hit Zargar's ship. The vessel sustained too much damage to endure. Its defense systems began to fail, and Zargar watched the impending destruction from the bridge of his ship. Viridian was finally free. Kai and his crew began working on the reconstruction of Viridian after their victory over Zargar and the Zargorian Empire. This war was not just a victory of resistance, but also of the human spirit and determination. Yet, every victory comes with a cost, and Kai felt this truth in his heart as he continued his journey to shape the destiny of the galaxy. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in the next story.